Welcome to the Word Sculpting Institute. I'm Letitia Thomas, your sculptor of words, sculpting words that cut through flesh and bone to soul. This word sculpture is entitled A Crash Dummy's Tale, From Trash to Treasure. Enjoy. A Crash Dummy's Tale, From Trash to Treasure by Letitia Thomas, your sculptor of words. This is a story of how a crash dummy came to life. There once was a doll, fabricated in intricate detail, molded by the craftsmanship of an expert car crasher. Crasher had plans, but needed a crash doll in order to succeed. The crasher's purpose was to groom the doll to sustain car crash after car crash. After each crash demonstration, the crasher, as he was called, would patch up the doll and repair her injuries, merely to smash her into walls again and again. The relationship between the car crasher and the crash doll was that Crasher promised to always repair his precious doll. He often expressed how much he needed her. He even upgraded his dear doll occasionally, yet incessantly witnessed how the magnitude of crashes left her dismantled or dismembered. She kept taking it, so he kept wrecking her. It fascinated the crasher at how often he could crash the car and wreck the doll. Crasher was faithful. Without fail, the doll could count on him to attend to her broken body immediately following every crash scene. Doll began to look forward to the repair time she called bonding time with Crasher. She committed herself to being his ride or die doll because of the pleasure she was rewarded with in their after crash bonding time. She thought, oh, this must be what love feels like. As he sought to reattach her broken pieces, Crasher always apologized to Doll for having to put her through so much distress and destruction. Oh, how he loves me, she thought. Each time he promised to ensure the next crash will not be as severe as the last one. Sometimes he was right, but mostly it got worse. Over time, reconstructing her became more difficult and complicated. Blemishes could no longer be covered up as neatly as before. Crasher soon began to blame his doll for its own brittle condition, calling her weak. The increased intensity of his harsh words and unkind language during times of reassembly repeatedly injured Doll almost as much as the crashes itself. Stupid dummy, he said. I think I'll call you my dummy instead of my doll. You're Crash's dummy. Crash dummy. Yeah, Crash dummy. Crash dummy is your new name. Crash's heart grew increasingly cruel towards dummy, as he now called her. He reasoned in his stony heart. She deserves this treatment. What fool would keep enduring the same mistreatment over and over by the same person and believe they are loved by the one who's perpetually destroying them? A dummy indeed. So, she promised to ride or die, huh? We will see. While the wreckages were never worth it, the doll endured the pain because repair felt so pleasurable and reaffirming. After all, she had promised to be Crash's ride or die doll. when he stopped handling her gently. Now, even the repair was brutal. She had nothing to look forward to. The doll suddenly realized that one day even Crasher would not be able to put her back together again. The doll longed for her end to come soon and rescue her from the torture of the inescapability of her meaningless life. She used to believe, I have meaning. Crasher needs me. I can help him fulfill his purpose. I understand him and he gets me. We were made for each other. Now she wonders what it was all for and why he picked her to pick apart. It baffled her that her love for him was not reciprocated and that he could not see how valuable and worthy of love she is, especially after all she goes through for him. Finally, she asked herself hopelessly, why has she been such a dummy? Crash Dummy, as her new name was now coined by Crasher and succumbed to in her own eyes, was placed in the trunk one day. She used to ride in the front seat at first when Crasher was proud of her. He later began to travel with her in the back seat of his car to avoid getting tickets when driving in HOV lanes. He used her in multiple ways. She was always proud to be of help because it amused Crasher and made him laugh, which made her feel valued, appreciated, wanted, and needed. Now, she was so unattractive because of all the wrecks she sustained. Crasher hid her in the trunk so others would not see Crash Dummy with him in public. One day, while traveling in the trunk of the car, she heard Crasher laughing and talking to someone, a female. He was laughing with the female the same way he used to laugh when she rode in the front seat of his car. She heard Crasher speaking in soft, loving tones like he used to talk to her when he was repairing her and promising to keep her safe. Who is Crasher talking to, she thought. Have I been replaced by another dummy? But something was different. Crasher was talking and the female was verbally responding. Dummies don't talk, she reasoned. I surely never did. Crasher always spoke for me. I didn't have a real voice. So, who is this? Is this an upgraded dummy? She wondered. She heard giggles and what sounded like smooches between the two of them. Now Crash Dummy's heart was as broken as the rest of her used up parts. She then overheard the female ask, where is that dummy you used to talk about all the time and carry around with you like she was a real person? Crasher responded cold-heartedly, oh, I only needed that dummy to see how far I could go with my destructive lifestyle. I don't need her anymore. I'm ready for a real life with somebody I care about and want to build a future with. That dummy's purpose is served. In fact, we're on our way now to throw it in the trash heap. I have no more use for it. Hey, I guess she really was a ride or die chick after all. Huh. Then he turned the music up, full blast. Soon the car stops. Crasher gets out of the vehicle and opens the trunk. Crash Dummy yells, "Please don't do this to me!" Hearing none of her pleas, he grabs the mangled body of Crash Dummy and hurls her towards a huge mound of discarded, filthy, worthless garbage. While her airborne body is suspended, her pleas to Crasher change to prayers. She prays to live and not die. She prays to be loved for real. She prays to become a real person. As her body smashes against the waste, she screams out in silence that only God can hear. Her final crash. Her eyes close as she falls off to death. She suddenly awakens on an operating table with a beautiful man asking her what her name is. She says, "Dummy." He replies, "Excuse me, did you just call me dummy?" and laughed. When he laughed, something inside her quickened and knew this was no ordinary man. That laugh was the sound her dull heart was searching for all along when she foolishly followed Crasher as a substitute for the real thing. This man was the real thing. Hey, wait, she thought. If this man is the real thing, she must be a real person. Her prayers had been answered. She realized that she was indeed a real person. The real man nursed her back to health and wholeness, and they became the answer to each other's prayer. She had a real relationship with a real man and lived a real life where she was highly valued, deeply loved, truly respected, and fully provided for. For real. One man's trash became a real man's treasure. The end. A Crash Dummy's Tale. From Trash to Treasure by your sculptor of words, Letitia Thomas. Thank you for visiting the Word Sculpting Institute. I hope you enjoyed A Crash Dummy's Tale, From Trash to Treasure. I'm Letitia Thomas, your sculptor of words.